Welcome to this edition of Backstage Pass with Lia Chang. I'm your host, Lia Chang. Tonight, I'm at Maya the Musical, the concert being produced by National Asian Artists Project and Prospect Musicals at Symphony Space.
Maya features book and music by Cheeyang, book and lyrics by Eric Sorrels, with direction by J. Meyer Core. The duo will receive the 20th Annual Fred Ebb Award for Aspiring Musical Theater Songwriters in December.
Maya the Musical!
Leading the cast as Maya is Sabrina Shah, joined by principal performers Meetu Chilana, Ruchir Khazanchi, Michael Maliakel, Yamuna Meleth, and Sorab Wadia, with Deven Kolluri, Jonathan Raviv, Sushma Saha, Jasmine Sharma, and National Asian Artists Project's chorus members. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
What an honor to be receiving the Fred Ebb Award.
I know.
Where were you and what went through your mind when you found out?
The foundation called me and told us that, really told me that we won the award, and they were like, you have to go tell Eric. And I was like, sure. And I was literally working in the morning. It was really early in the morning, and Eric and I had a call scheduled to talk about Maya literally like 5 minutes after the call. So I called Eric and I said, Meher was also on the call, so I was like, we have to record this. So Eric hopped on the call, we were recording it, and I told Eric that we won the award, and we all freaked out right there and then. And it was a huge surprise because I know so many incredible writers, and I knew a few of them were finalists for the award. And I love all of them, and so it just came as a shock and a huge honor, really. So yeah.
Okay. Well, today we're here to talk about Maya because it's being produced. We're going to have a special concert of it at the Symphony Space on the 21st.
Yes.
I'd like to know what inspired you to create Maya.
This is a question that we actually have sat and asked ourselves a lot of times, because a lot of people ask us, both of us are not Indian, why are we writing an Indian story? And the kernel of the idea stemmed from, when we first started writing Maya, we really wanted to write an adaptation of Shakespeare's play. The play that we were drawn to was Midsummer Night's Dream. Eric knew that I wanted to write an Asian story, and at the time it felt like Titania and Oberon were fighting over this Indian changeling child, and that was really interesting to us. And it felt like, Mother India and Britain fighting over the sovereignty of India, basically. And as we did our research, we came across this incredible activist. Her name is Sarojini Naidu. She was a poet, she was a writer, and she marched alongside Gandhi. In every photo that you see of Gandhi in the Salt March, you can see Sarojini Naidu right there. And a lot of people don't really know who she is, and the big question that we were asking ourselves at the time, I was having a huge existential crisis, and at the time I said, the world is falling apart. Why the fuck are we writing musicals? What is the point of all of this? And so we set out to try to answer that question with Maya, trying to understand, is there an intersection between art and activism? Is there a time where words could truly matter? And,
Well, there's always an
exactly.
intersection between art and activism.
Exactly. And I think Maya is our little exploration into a time of turmoil, a time of huge struggle, and the parallels of what was happening not even 100 years ago, like 70, 80 years ago, is still happening today. And it was intrinsically a very powerful story. And as someone who is very interested in untold stories in the Asian diaspora, it was a piece that just spoke to our values so much that we decided to pursue it.
I would like to know what it means to you to be an Asian American theater maker in this time.
I think the reason why I started to write was because I never saw myself in any of the stories told on stage. This will be my 10th year writing, actually going into my 10th year of actually pursuing musical theater writing. And in the last 10 years, I feel like everything is slowly shifted and we're trying not to go back. I mean, this is such a Kamala statement, and given the circumstances, it's hard because we really don't want to go back. We don't want to go back to a time where we're erased, where we're forgotten, where we're just a token in an ensemble, you know? As someone who creates, the reason why I started creating was because I said, hey, I have the tools. When I went to college, I learned the tools to start writing, and I seem to have an inclination towards storytelling that people really are drawn to. And I said, you know, I'm just gonna go where the river takes me. I never ever thought the musical theater was gonna be a part of my life. I didn't grow up with musical theater. And I didn't ever think that I would ever be a writer. I was always a singer first. Performing has always been what I loved. And to take a step back and step into the creator position was a very huge privilege, but also felt like a calling, because it felt like until many, many, many more people are doing it, I feel like there is a responsibility to kind of carry that torch forward and open doors for people to come in and join us in this party. You know what I mean? Like, the Asian diaspora is not a monolith. We all have completely different stories to tell and ways of telling them that would be very unique to each and every one of us. And so I feel an immense honor and privilege to be able to do it. And at the same time, I'm excited by the questions that I have. I always find writing a way of exploring the questions that I don't have answers to. So.
Well, congratulations on being part of the solution.
Thank you.
And winning the Fred Ebb Award.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the
Thank
Fred
you.
Ebb Award. What
Yeah.
does it mean for you to be receiving it?
Well, the award is really two components. There's like a financial component, which is really significant.
Always helpful.
Yeah. I mean, money is like the biggest obstacle to producing new work all the time. Like, there's so many shows that people believe in, but just don't have the funding. So there's that part that we already have, and as we continue development after this, we can put some of that money toward future development, which is really exciting. And then there's the institutional component of people in your industry that you admire. I mean, Fred Ebb's legacy himself as a lyricist and me as a lyricist. Cabaret was one of the first shows I saw when I moved to New York, and it literally changed the way I saw the world. And so to have that institution and the people who have received it in the past to be in their company, it's actually still really surreal to me. I'm still processing it, but I'm honored and grateful, and I know that I wouldn't have gotten it without my amazing collaborator Cheeyang and their music. And it excites me about the songs that we're going to write with the momentum behind it.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Maya. What inspired you to write Maya?
This was our thesis project at NYU when we were in grad school together. We initially were trying to adapt a Shakespeare play, A Midsummer Night's Dream, and as we dug deeper down the rabbit hole of how we wanted to adapt it, we found a historical event called the Salt March and a poet named Sarojini Naidu. And from there, we were really excited at this theatrical idea of the Salt March and how to represent that on stage. And this story of India and Britain and their complicated relationship and a person caught in between those worlds. And so this character named Maya, whose name means dream and illusion, sort of formed out of that. And we created this whole historical fiction world where none of these characters are real, but the truth of what happened is. And that's the line we're trying to toe in a really theatrical way.
And what can audiences expect when they come on Thursday to Symphony Space?
You know, in New York, anywhere, it's really rare to see things put on these days that have a cast of performers the size that we're going to have. We're going to have a 22-person ensemble, a 10-person principal cast, a live band with brand new orchestrations. And, Ragtime just opened at the City Center recently, and it was epic to see that kind of like old generation of musicals where you had just like this wall of sound, and we're going after the same thing. I think people are going to be excited by the sheer size of what we're going to do for one night.
Hello, my name is Meher Kaur, and I am directing Maya.
Meher,
Yes.
how long have you been directing? How long have you been working with Cheeyang and Eric?
I have been working with Cheeyang and Eric for almost a year now. Cheeyang approached me last November, I think, so almost exactly a year ago, and we did a reading together in Los Angeles earlier this year.
What does it mean to you to be telling this particular story?
It means so much. It means so much to me. As a director, you often look for an entry point into every piece that you work on. And sometimes it's more challenging than others. For this, it took me all but 1 second. I grew up performing musical theater, and it was my first love. But the foundation of my arts education was really Indian classical music. So for me, discovering a piece where the two meld and don't really butt heads. Like when you listen to the music, it really is one. It's the two together. It felt like such a great symbol of where it come from. And for me, that was really the entry point into the story, is through the music.
And how familiar were you with the storyline?
Yeah, not super familiar. I have an education around partition, particularly because my family comes from Punjab, which is a region that was pretty much split in half during partition in 1947. But I didn't have as much of a background on the Salt March and on Gandhi's struggle, and specifically on Sarojini Naidu, which is the poet that Maya is based on.
Okay. And what does it mean to you to be an Asian American theater maker in this time?
It feels really exciting. It feels exciting because I finally feel like I'm in community. I think when I started my career, I felt siloed, I felt pigeonholed, I felt very perceived, and I didn't really know who to talk to about that, who to process with. I actually left New York for about 4 years, and I'm back now. And coming back, seeing the community around me is just so incredible.
Well, I know it really makes a difference coming back as a director.
Yeah.
Because you have a seat at the table and you can make decisions.
Yes.
But I also want to celebrate working with Prospect Musicals and the National Asian Artists Project, because this is what they foster and support.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Sabrina Shah, and I am playing Maya.
Hi, Sabrina. It's
Hello.
so nice to meet you.
Good to meet you too.
What does it mean to you to be telling the story of Maya?
I'm so humbled and so honored to be able to. I'm so happy that I'm a part of this, and it feels very, very timely. And I'm so excited that I get to be a part of a story that is this epic and carries this much significance.
Did you know much of the story before
I didn't know anything.
the project came to you?
No, I didn't know anything. I went to Pace, and they did a version of it at Pace years ago before I was there. So I had heard of its existence, but I didn't know anything about the plot, characters, nothing. And so this, opportunity presented itself to me, and I was like, this sounds very interesting. I would love this.
So can you tell me about your character?
She's
And her journey.
Totally. She's a poet, and she is very good at what she does, and she knows it, which I love. She begins the story determined to change the world through her poetry. And eventually she begins to learn that maybe there are more worthwhile efforts for her to take that will actually end up changing the world in ways she didn't even think were possible. And she kind of goes through this self-growth journey that I love, because she kind of becomes self-aware of what her existence means for the world and what impact she can leave on the world.
What does it mean to you to be an Asian American theater maker in this time?
It means so much to me, and I'm so happy to have this community. It is such a special thing to be in a room with other Asian people and other brown people. Like it's just a very special experience that I don't take for granted, because for so long for me that wasn't the case. And yeah, so it's not lost on me how significant it is.
Hi, my name is Maliakel, and I am playing Lawrence in this production of Maya the Musical.
Michael, it is so nice to finally meet you. I've heard
Likewise.
so many exciting things about your talents.
Oh gosh. Okay.
What does it mean for you to be telling this story of Maya the Musical?
It's really special in a lot of ways. I think when I first moved to New York and started auditioning, spaces and teams and rooms like this did not exist. And even now they're very, very rare. And when you do find them, it's not often that the material is treated with as much respect and sensitivity as this team does with this piece. So I feel really grateful. It's really exciting to be in a space that respects the cultures that you come from, and I'm excited that this piece, on top of all of that, is just a fantastic piece of theater. They're doing some really beautiful things with style, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
And who is Lawrence?
Lawrence is an Anglo-Indian who goes through a very interesting journey with the piece. Throughout the piece, he's betrothed to Maya at the beginning of the show, and their relationship takes a couple of twists and turns along the way. Not to give anything away, but he's sort of torn between two cultures, and wrestles with that, and is I think ultimately inspired by Maya's activism through the course of the piece.
And were you familiar with any of the themes or the stories?
Yeah,
I mean,
my parents are from India, and so the presence in our history of the revolution and India's fight for independence is a big part of all of our lives, our history, and so that's sort of like the backdrop for the piece. I've been a fan of Cheeyang and Eric's and a friend of theirs for many years, since they were students at NYU together. I actually did one of their earliest demo recordings for the piece. So I think a couple of songs that are not existing anymore for well, you interpret that how you will, but so it's been cool to watch the evolution of the piece and see how successful they've been in their writing and their partnership, having been friends with them for a long time now.
What does it mean to you to be an Asian American theater maker in this time?
Oh, that's a loaded question. It feels like we're constantly fighting to be heard, to be taken seriously, to be respected for who we are as artists, for certainly the backgrounds that we bring, but regardless of all of that, just to be considered like any other human, deserving representation and respect, and to have their stories be told. I have been in a few spaces where I'm very often the only person of color, and so I think in that respect it feels like it's a big burden to carry, to represent your whole background and the culture that makes you who you are in those spaces. But I've been lucky to take that role and really enjoy it and savor it, and I think it's set me up to be in a good place for spaces like this, where I feel like part of a whole, which is really special.
Well, it's a really big difference when you just get to be a human being in a room and not have to explain yourself, your culture, why you're speaking in a particular way about anything.
Hi, I'm Meetu Chilana. I'm playing Gayatri.
Meetu, it is so great to see you again.
So
Too fabulous for words. What does it mean to you to be telling this particular story?
Well, I've been a part of this project from the very, very beginning, when they had their first presentation at NYU. And I've sort of seen the progress, and I think in the beginning I was just happy to be working with this talented duo, and now I really like, with what's going on in the world, the importance of this musical is really like fire for me. you know, to be able to empower people to speak up, whether it's poetry or music or theater, you know, to really encourage people to speak up and make our voices heard, to make change in the world, because there's a lot to change in the world right now.
Were you familiar with any of the story before it came to you?
Sarojini Naidu?
What the poet or the Salt March or anything that
Yeah. I mean,
on.
it's part of Indian history. I wasn't as familiar with Sarojini Naidu. I had heard her name, but I was actually playing Sarojini Naidu in the first version, and so
Okay.
I had to look her up, and I was like, you know, and then as it's kind of evolved, it's really beautiful the way that they've pulled from that and A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What does it mean to you? I'm going to do that one more time. What does it mean to you to be an Asian American theater maker in this time?
Ooh, what does it mean? It means connection. It means keeping the live element of what I mean by connection is everything is in screens now. But to bring our stories to the stage in a way that is very, very alive with an audience, I think that is really important.
Hi, I'm Yamuna Meleth, and I play the character of Harini.
Yamuna, it's so nice to meet you.
You as well.
I would love to know who your character is in Maya the Musical and what it means for you to be telling this story.
Okay, so Harini is a revolutionary. She's what we call a satyagrahi, so she's working within the Gandhi march. And her role in the show is really to bring to light what actually needs to happen within a community to create sustaining change and for everything to be equitable amongst people. So she's kind of the big sister sage of the show, is what I would say.
And how long have you been working on the show? Is it just this iteration?
No, this is my third iteration. I did the first one 2 years ago, so it's been a full 2 years of working on Maya. Yeah.
And what does it mean to you to be an Asian American theater maker in this time?
It's hard to put into words, honestly. I think especially right now, there's a lot of collective fear and uncertainty, and being an Asian American on the scene just allows me to know that people like my niece and my nephew can see somebody that looks like them and know that no matter how much fear is around you, your true path is nothing to be fearful of.
And did you bring anything personal to Maya? You've been with it for a period of time. Were you familiar with any of the characters, the stories that it's based on?
Yeah, I come from a family of civil disobedience and protesters. Really, it was very aligned. I grew up reading about Gandhi and what Gandhi meant to India and what Mother India means as you know, a theme, and it's definitely in my blood to create, you know, just a little bit of resistance. So I really relate to Harini in that way.
How excited are you to be having this special concert?
I think this is something that I believed in so strongly the second I heard it. And, you know, there are a lot of shows that you do, that you enter the ground stage, or you enter on the ground floor, and they don't really go anywhere. And you kind of have to, you know, there's a certain amount of acceptance that you have to have when you start a project. So when it actually makes it to the next level, it's impossible to put into words, really, because I've just been dying for people to hear this music and see this story, and to get to actually be a part of it also is just, I feel so lucky.
Hey, I'm Ruchir Khazanchi. I am playing Darvesh.
Hi, Ruchir.
Hey.
Nice to see you.
Likewise.
Who is your character in the storyline?
Darvesh is the revolutionary in the story. I think that is the plainest way I can put it. He is the revolutionary of the story.
Right.
Yeah.
And what does it mean to you to be telling this particular story of Maya the musical?
Yeah, I mean, it's a story about Indian people, but it's also a universal story for liberation, for sovereignty, and for the rights of oppressed people, right? And that is inherently relevant at all times in the world, especially right now.
And were you familiar with any of the characters or the themes that are being portrayed in the show?
I've heard, I've known the Salt March and the history of it since I was young. You know, my parents were sure to make sure that I knew about Gandhi and the history of, the colonization of India and the partition as it affected their lives. So I had some inclinations about like themes and things that could be taken from actual history and put into the show. So yeah.
What does it mean to you to be an Asian American theater maker in this time?
It means that I think that being an Asian American theater maker is to constantly be seeking your own voice and to be building your own path as an individual while also uplifting those like you. That's what it means to me, I think. It's the sense of community for me. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Sharma. I play Charlotte and others. I play a couple of fun appearances. My first one is Charlotte, who I would describe as a trollop. And then I also play the editor, who is not a trollop, but is like a professional trollop. And then I also am a townsperson and a friend. But it's a lovely show with a lot of different.
And what does it mean for you to be telling this particular story?
I get to hang out with so many of my very good friends. There are a lot of people from college or other shows that I think it's often there's one other Indian person in the cast or there's one per cast, and it's been really lovely to see people from all different parts of my life reunited for this project.
And what does it mean to you to be an Asian American theater maker in this time?
Oh man. What does it mean to be an Asian American theater maker at this time? I think I push back against being like, it is activism or anything. I think it is like
activism.
Sure. And I think it is also different ways to experience joy and make something in community are all valuable ways to spend time on Earth. And so I think they mean the same thing to me.
Thank you for joining me for this edition of Backstage Pass with Lia Chang. Until next time.